What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Nourish with Renata podcast. Today, we have an amazing guest, and we're going to be talking to her all about her health journey and the importance of slowing down. This is my amazing friend, Mary Hopper. Welcome, Mary.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so first things first, we need to
Mhm.
let everyone know who you are and what you do, because this is a really important part of what we'll be speaking about later on in the episode. So go ahead, Mary, tell us a little bit about you.
So, my name is Mary Hopper. I am an author of a book called Lighten Up Your Life, and I am a retreat host. The retreat that I host is called the Slow Down Retreat, and I actually host it with you, which is so fun. Yay. And yeah, it's where we take a weekend to really slow down, sink into how our bodies are feeling, what we're needing in each moment, and then we give ourselves that. So it's a really deep practice in self-care and self-love and coming back to ourselves and listening to ourselves, which can get really clouded in the life that we live. There's lots of noise, lots of things happening, lots of things on the schedule. Our kids are busy, we have lots of commitments. And so it's really important to come back to ourselves and check in. What are we needing? How are we feeling? And what can we do to take care of ourselves better? So that's basically what I teach women in my coaching and through my blog and my writing. So
Amazing. So what's
yeah,
really cool is that Mary and I met, oh my gosh, 3 years ago?
yeah, 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 yeah. Three
And
years ago. Yep.
yeah, and what is so cool to be witnessing is basically Mary's health transformation. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about where you started 3 years ago,
Mhm.
and a little bit around, why you wanted me to help you with your health and nutrition, and perhaps even some of the things that you've learned.
Yeah. So let's take it back maybe 4 years ago, 3.5-ish years ago. I was pregnant with my daughter, who's now going to be 4 in December. And my mom had cancer at the time. And so I was caring for my body, my pregnant body, and I was caring for my mom, who was really ill. And at the time, we didn't know that she was going to pass, but she did end up passing when Clara was 10 months old. So in the time of my mom's cancer treatments, I had gave birth to my second or my third child. And then I had an infant. I was taking my mom to all of her appointments, and it was just a lot. I had a 3-year-old at the time as well, and 2 businesses. And that's actually where I met Renata, in one of the businesses that I had. And I was just stretched really thin, and I was not giving myself the care and attention that I needed. But I don't fault myself for that. Looking back, I have given myself some grace, and I was doing the best that I could at that time. So in October of 2020, my mom passed away, and kind of leaning up to that, I started working with a nutritionist, not Renata, but she got me going on the Fab Four, and kind of digging into some of that. And then I hired Renata about probably a month or two after my mom passed. And so I had a 10 or 11-month-old, a 3-year-old, and I was in the thick of grieving my mom's passing. And so working with you, Renata, I learned how to use food as a way to take care of myself. It became a tool for me to show myself that I'm worthy of the time it takes to make a delicious, yummy, nutritious meal that's going to make my body feel good. And when we started working together, I tell this story quite a bit. This is a turning point, a huge turning point for me in my journey. We were in a session, and I think it was probably the first session, first or second, you said, we're going to start tracking your food. And it doesn't have to be detailed, but after you eat something, have a meal, I want you to write down how that meal made you feel. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. So how do I do that? And you suggested a number system, well, 1 through 10, which is really smart and good. And I was very resistant. I was like, nah, I don't think I can do that. That doesn't even make it. I like that. My brain just could not go there. And so then you were very kind and patient with me. And you said, well, how about an adjective? How about you just choose a word that describes how you're feeling after you've eaten a certain thing? And I couldn't do that either. That was where I'm like, it clicked. Like, I am so disconnected from how my body feels after I've eaten something or done something that I can't even come up with a word. I'm a writer and I can't come up with a word to describe how I'm feeling. So that was and thankfully you were patient and kind with me and gave me a word bank to choose from. So that got me going on it. And then, of course I get like a week or two into it and I'm cruising along. It was challenging. I'm not going to lie. It was a hard thing for me to do, but very eye-opening. And I do remember messaging you and saying, you know what? I got this genius idea. I'm going to start ranking how I feel on a scale of 1 to 10 after I eat it. And I'm pretty sure you rolled your eyes at me because you had mentioned doing that at the very beginning. But it just goes to show, I first of all was very I would say stuck in my old ways or my patterns of what I had been doing and what I thought nutritious and what I thought good eating was. I had a lot of things and I'm still working on a lot of these things. I just feel like I've come a long ways, and how I feel about food, how I use food to fuel me and take care of myself. But yeah, so that, putting those pieces together, connecting how I was actually feeling with what I was eating was a huge, huge piece of my journey. And since then, that's where I've come into this. How am I feeling in general? Not even after I eat, and really checking in with myself. I've really come so far in listening to my inner knowing, my intuition, and I've been fostering that and practicing every day. So
That's beautiful. I will say, when you messaged me and said, oh my gosh, I have this great idea for this number system, I was like, really? That's so interesting.
interesting.
Wow. So good.
Yeah. And we know that that's a pattern of behavior that I'm accustomed to. So
Well,
but I do
is
come
there,
around and I do admit later that yes, it was your idea.
so I still get the
And I'm
kudos,
so
which
thankful.
thank you.
Yes, you
Oh,
totally do. You totally get the kudos. And I am so thankful that you were patient enough to stick with me and help me through that. It was a huge block that I didn't even know was a block. I didn't even know I had it. So
yeah. Well, I think you bring
yeah,
up like three really amazing points there in your share. So thank you for that. The first of which
yeah,
is that disconnectedness that so many people, women especially, can feel from their bodies. We get so accustomed to, like, oh, I got to put everyone else's needs ahead of my own. So it doesn't matter how I'm feeling or what I need. I need to make sure everyone else is catered to, right? So that was the
yes,
first thing. The second was the awareness. Like, you had this awakening where you realized, oh my gosh, maybe this is not how I want to be operating in my life, and just having that
right.
awareness, that's the turning point. That's the key. That's when
Mhm.
everything
Yes,
starts to shift. And then the third point was beginning to become connected again. And what I love about this is it might seem like the opposite of what you were doing, 3.5, 4 years ago. Instead of just pushing, 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 putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own, it's really about turning inwards and figuring out,
yes,
what do I need? How do I want to feel? And for me, part of that process, which you alluded to, was the importance of slowing down. So, what does
yes.
slowing down mean to you, and why is it such an important part of your daily practice?
Mm, yes. So I want to go back really quick to that awareness piece. The reason I reached out to you, I was aware I did not feel good. I was so tired all the time. I had no energy. I was not, and come to find out, I wasn't eating enough. And so I think that's a really important part of my story, that I had this awareness. I knew I didn't feel good, and I knew I needed help. And I knew I needed support from someone else to help me through that. So I just want to thank you for helping me through that. That was a really hard time in my life, and also an amazingly beautiful time in my life where I did ask for help, and now I have these beautiful friendships that came from it. So I do feel so fortunate for the hard. So if you're in the hard, there is hope, and there are people that care and want to be a part of your hard. So yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to come back to that because that was a big piece of why I had that awareness. And yeah, so thank you.
You're so welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So slowing down, I love this question because I actually am coming off of a weekend where my entire intention was to slow down. Like, I do want to live my life slowing down. And also, I am a normal human and am like, have things to do, and I get caught up in the stuff that's happening. But we had a weekend at home, and there wasn't a lot on the calendar. And so on Friday, I set the intention. I said to myself in my head, I'm going to move slowly this weekend. I'm going to physically slow my body down as much as I can remember to, and really live and be in each moment. And I can't tell you how amazing the weekend was. Just choosing to not hurry, to not hustle, to not push. Especially, I have a 6 and a 3-year-old, and they do things on their own timelines. And let me tell you, when I meet them where they're at, when I let them finish the task that they're doing the way they want to do it, while I know is not always convenient for us parents. For example, in the bath last night, Clara had to do 700 things before she could get out of the bathtub because, she's delaying bedtime, obviously. And I saw it, I noticed it, and I chose not to react to it because I had intentionally set the tone that I was going to be slow, and that there really was no reason I needed to hurry her out of the bathtub. Yeah, would it be 5 more minutes till she got to bed? Probably. But I then had a chance to connect with her. I played with her while she was in the bathtub. I asked her, what kind of things do you need to do? And I was right there with her in the moment. And that's what life is about. That's why we're here, is these connections with our family. For me, it's the connection with myself first, and then my husband and my kids, and creating these moments and these memories. We get to do that all the time, in every moment, if we choose.
I love that.
So we had an amazing flow weekend, and it was really great.
So what I feel like you're saying then is that the importance of slowing down is that you get to create connections and memories with people.
Yes.
And with yourself.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. When I could show up as a calm parent, I felt calm in my body because I was not trying to rush from one thing to the next thing. I just let what was going to happen in the right time. And we ended up going to our camper and having a nice evening at our camper and spending the night. And then we got up and decided to come home, and it was very relaxed. And it is a lot of work to go to take your kids camping. And also, I sank into those tasks, the packing of the bags, and when you get to the camper, putting everything away. And instead of making those something I had to do and rush through, I really was in the moment doing them, and I felt so good doing them because I wasn't rushed. It was just, this is my life. This is it. This is what I choose. And I'm choosing to be right here, right now.
Yes. Ah, so beautifully said. The other thing that I want to point out is when we slow down, it actually has an amazing effect on our hormones. And so this is something really
Mm.
cool, which I'm teaching all the women, including yourself, in the Love Your Cycle program. So when we slow down, when we really make sure we embed ourselves in the now moment, it boosts our oxytocin, also known as the love hormone or the cuddle hormone. And so basically, this
Who
is like
doesn't
the
love the cuddle
pleasure.
hormone?
Yeah. So this
Yeah,
is all about
yes.
making sure we're getting as much pleasure out of what's happening right now as possible. And so what's amazing is when we boost our oxytocin, everything gets better, right? Because we're just attuning our reticular activating system to look for more of those good, pleasurable, fun, enjoyable things that are occurring. And your example of this past weekend is perfect. Like it literally shows everyone when you relax into the moment, you start enjoying what's happening right now even more so, like everything just flows. Life becomes easier.
Yes.
And so I love
Yes.
relating it back to the science because that can help many people to really bring this practice into their day to day. So, really, I wanted to ask you, Mary, what are some, like, maybe your top three favorite ways of slowing down each day?
Mm. Top three favorite ways of slowing down. Lately, I have really been, so we all have a home to take care of. We have laundry, we have dishes, and instead of feeling resentful or like, oh, I have to do these things, they're on my to-do list and ooh, that's going to take time. And so last night to clean up the kitchen, I put my headphones in, I put on an Ed Sheeran song and I danced around the kitchen and I got it done. And I was feeling so good in my body and just doing it. I was by myself. I had a few moments to do the dishes by myself. So I'm really looking at these tasks that I have to do and making them feel so good and so juicy. And I like to say squeezing the sensation out of each moment. So I'm just really getting as much as I can out of everything that I'm doing. So that I can't believe I'm saying this, but yes, slowing down, folding laundry, washing the dishes, cleaning up the counters, tidying up my home. Those things are a way for me to slow down. Um, I really love to be outside. So my second one I would say is anything outside, anything with my feet, my bare feet touching the earth, grounding myself to the earth and all she has to give us. And then anytime I'm by water, I would say
Mm.
is another way that I really can slow down. And reading, I can't forget reading. There's so many ways. How am I supposed to pick three? That's not fair.
Well, what's great about this is that it gives people so many ideas. Like perhaps
Yeah.
they haven't thought about, hey, how can I look at something that might be considered mundane,
Yes.
like washing the
Yes.
dishes, and turn that into a pleasurable activity? So I love
Yeah.
that. And
Oh,
also, go ahead.
keep going. I was going to say showering. I
Oh,
have
yes.
this like barrier to get in the shower. Like it's a huge task for me. It feels big for me. And I know that there's other people out there that feel that way, but I have made it so that it's an experience. I got some scrub and the other day I actually spent time just like massaging my muscles, my arms, my forearms, just really giving myself some self massage, some love and connecting. And I found my mind was wandering and I just repeated to myself, be here now, be here now, be here now, just to bring myself back to connecting with my body. So
I love
that's
that.
another really great way. And that's when I get my ideas, is when I'm in the shower.
Right, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because when we're forcing, like when we're trying to be super productive and like go, go,
Yes.
go, that's often when we're less creative
Yes.
versus when we give ourselves space and time to really relax. That's when we get super creative, which leads me into the slowdown retreat. So can you tell us,
Yes.
why did you want to create this retreat in the first place?
Oh, wow. So when after my mom passed away, I was going still. I actually published my book 2 months after she passed. And I was running again 2 businesses and doing all the things. And I was cruising for a bruising. That's what my mom would say. I was just going too strong. And I knew, well, after working with you and really sinking into like how I was feeling and what I was needing, I got honest with myself and I decided that I needed to take a break from most everything that I was doing. So I stripped my life essentially of the things that were not imperative at that moment. And I actually ended up closing one of the businesses that I was running. I stopped writing. I just stopped everything. And that I could anyways. And in November that following year, my family and I went to the Gulf Shores, and we took a month to be in the Gulf Shores, just the 4 of us, and not have to do much while we were there, just be with each other. And during that time was when I felt that this slowing down concept, this really living in each moment, that came to me then, because I had lived it. I was living it there. And that winter when I got back, I started going to yin yoga, which is a restorative type of yoga where you get into stretch type postures and you hold for 4 to 5 minutes at a time. And in that space of holding those postures, literally the idea came to me while I was in yin yoga of creating a retreat where we're not pushing, we're not trying to achieve anything, we're not doing breakout sessions to get better at running our businesses, or we are literally, I like to say, not doing anything, which isn't true because we do things there, but we're not rushing through anything. We're not trying to achieve an outcome. The only thing we're doing is being there and enjoying and giving ourselves, we call them pleasure snacks, giving ourselves these oxytocin hits of, having a cup of tea with a friend. Or the last slowdown retreat, I took a nap. I was hosting a retreat and I took a nap. It was so glorious. I thought, this is it. This is it. Like this is, I love this. I'm here for this.
Yes. Well, that's what I love about the slowdown retreat too, because oftentimes when you go on retreats, sometimes they are business retreats where you do focus on learning and doing, and that can be great for some people.
Yes.
The purpose of slowdown retreat is everything that we've been talking about. It's to allow you the time and space to stop feeling the need to have to do.
Yes.
And give you the time and space to just be.
Yes.
And what I love about this space is when we can get all of the other stuff out of the way, you can just exhale. Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what's amazing is, and it's not that any of the women came there for any particular reason, right? They came to the slowdown retreat to relax, to restore, to recuperate.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the things that have happened afterwards for some of these women that attended?
Well, the first slowdown retreat, we had 3 lovely ladies attend. And during the slowdown retreat, we did an abundance ritual, which was such a beautiful guided ritual where we listed things that we are abundant in and things that we will be abundant in the future. And all 3 of those women have manifested babies, like human life. We created that together. It's just such a beautiful thing. And just the creative energy when these women got home, they were more in tune with themselves. They were taking care of themselves better. And they just had all this creative juices flowing to create things for their businesses and their lives that have taken them forward. So it's just such a beautiful, it's just really sinking into that feminine energy and that coming back to that within us.
Yeah, into what feels good for us. And so no more of having to just keep piling stuff onto your proverbial plate.
Yeah.
It's really about how can I slow this down and really nurture myself. That's the key.
Yeah.
The slowdown retreat is really about how can we give ourselves even more love and care.
Yep. Yep. It
Amazing.
is.
And what's cool is that there's going to be a slowdown retreat coming up.
There is. There totally is. Yes. November 2nd through the 5th in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
So why did you choose Albuquerque?
So I lived in Albuquerque for 3 months when I was a grad student, and I loved it there and I want to go back. So here we are. Let's do it. Let's go back.
I think it's going to be
Yep.
such a fun environment. So Albuquerque, I've been there before as well, and I absolutely loved it. I felt like
Mhm.
it was like the colors are so different to where I currently live, and
Yep.
it was a totally new atmosphere and vibe. And I think sometimes
Yes.
when you're really looking to get away from your day-to-day activities and responsibilities, sometimes you need that environment to be totally different from what
Yes.
you're used to, so that you can really just get out of your comfort zone, so to speak, and then
Hmm.
also be provided a safe space to slow things down and to
Yep.
really look at your life and reflect and think, how do I want to move forward from here?
Hmm. Yep. Yep.
Amazing.
Couldn't have said it better.
And then what's really cool is, I always want to bring it back to our health, right? Obviously, when we're blowing and going so much, it's incredibly stressful. When we slow down, we give ourselves the opportunity to release that stress in addition to boosting our oxytocin. And it does have a huge impact on things like the menstrual cycle. So I know
Hmm.
that, Mary, you have been really tuned into your menstrual cycle recently. I'm curious, is there anything that you've noticed that's impacted your menstrual cycle health when you've been practicing slowing down consistently?
Yes, my cycle is more regular. I'm in tune with my body and I know how it feels on certain days, and I can give myself things that I need on those days. And it's just been incredible to learn that about my body. So I've been tracking pretty diligently since March, and it is, what is it, September? So it's about 6 months of in-depth tracking and looking at my energy levels and what my body is doing at each phase of my cycle. And now I can predict and yeah, just show up for myself in a different
Yeah.
way. So it's been really great.
Oh, I'm so glad. And I think that
Hmm.
that is such a huge testament to your practice, right? To your ritual
Yes.
each day of tuning into your body, and to giving yourself enough self-care so that you really do feel like your proverbial cup is full. We
Right.
all know that when we experience high amounts of stress, it can affect our health in so many different ways, from things like heart conditions to high cholesterol to, increased weight gain, and also the menstrual cycle. It can affect
Hmm.
the duration or your cycle length. It can affect your PMS symptoms. And so what I love is, how you've created such an amazing commitment to yourself when it
Hmm.
comes to slowing down, and you're literally seeing the benefits of that in your health right
Hmm.
now.
Absolutely. 100%. Yep.
I love it.
And you nailed it with the word commitment. It is a commitment to yourself. It is deciding that you are worth it and that you will show up for yourself and commit to yourself every day.
Beautiful. Well, I definitely want to
Hmm.
make sure people know how they can contact you when they want to come to the slowdown retreat.
Yeah.
So how can people
Yeah.
do that?
They can email me at hello@marycena.com or message me on Instagram at marycena.co or maryhopper.co. Sorry. maryhopper.co. Yep.
Yes, I love that. And then once again, the slowdown retreat is happening in early November in Albuquerque, New
Yes.
Mexico. And
Hmm.
can people sign up, or do they need to sign up by a particular time?
Yes. By the end of the month, by October 1st. Yep.
Nice. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. I
Yes.
love talking to you. I feel like we're so aligned in so many ways, and particularly on our emphasis on women's health and on slowing down. So thank you
Hmm.
so much.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for having me.
Okay, I will leave all of Mary's links below, so make sure to check it out. And if you are loving this podcast, please make sure to share it with someone that you love. We would be so thrilled to be able to impact someone else's life today and help them to remember to slow down too. So we'll see you on the next episode, guys.